All right, essential question. It's been our same essential question all chapter. How are traits passed through generations? And our key concept, the inheritance of traits, follows the rules of probability, which is why we talk about coin flips. What is the probability of heads, the probability of tails? And those only have two choices, so those probabilities are both 50-50. What we talk about four choices. So that's why we go through the quarters. You get a 25, 50, 75, or 100% chance of inheriting some kind of trait. All right, so Punnett squares is a model used to show the possible ways genes can combine during fertilization. So in other words, they help you keep track of traits. And like I said last week, we are in basic biology, so we are learning about one trait Punnett squares. There are bigger Punnett squares where we compare two traits and we combine them together, but we're only learning one right now. So if you wanted to know the type of offspring a cross between two parents would produce, we use a Punnett square. So we take two parents. We have one parent, and we cross it with another parent. And then we talk about, you guys did this in your worksheet last week, tall is a trait that is dominant to short. So for the dominant trait, we use the capital letter. For the recessive trait, we use the lowercase letter. What genotype is this? If we have one of each, what's it called? Put it in the chat. You guys did this in your worksheet last week. You practiced your genotype. Heterozygous. Good, Cambria. Good, Alex. Very good. Yep. So we are crossing two heterozygous parents. We're going to call them parent one and parent two. It doesn't matter who's mom and who's dad. Just parent one and parent two. So set up a Punnett square. So we're going to take this Punnett square and set it up. So you only really need to draw it once. Or you can draw it the different times just so you have it all together. It's up to you. So the letters representing parent one, we put them at the top. And we put them outside of the square. The inside of the square, 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4 boxes inside, those are for the potential offspring. Parents go on the outside. So parent one, we put 1 on top of these 2 boxes. We put the little t on top of these 2 boxes. The letters representing the alleles from parent 2 are placed along the side. Again, outside of the boxes. So we split his big T or her big T goes in front of those 2 boxes, and their little t goes in front of the bottom 2 boxes. So parents always go on the outside. So this is how it should look. Again, you should already have this drawn. So we have parent 1 is heterozygous. Parent 2 is heterozygous. Put parent 1 on top, split them up on top of the boxes. We put parent 2 on the side, split them up in front of the side boxes. All right. Everybody have that so far? Give me a thumbs up if you have it. Drawn all together in your notes. Very good. And then you fill in the squares. And that's what this GIF up here is about. It's using B's instead of T's, but it's the same idea. Squares are filled in by bringing the top letters down and then the side letters across. And you can use different colors to keep track of the alleles. So parent 1's big T goes down, and then parent 2's big T goes across. So in this box, you have one from mom and one from dad. Same goes for this one. So that T also goes in this box, and then the little t goes in this box. So you still have one from mom and one from dad. That big T goes down. The little t comes across. So in that box, you have one from mom and one from dad. And then in the last box, you take one across to the last box and the other one across to the last box. So again, you have one from mom and one from dad. And this is how alleles get combined. So we can see the potential offspring that these parents could possibly have. Now, these are 4 options. Typically, parent 1 and parent 2 are only going to have one offspring. So this is where we talk about probability. What are the chances that that one offspring will inherit one of the options? Well, we'll get there, Alex. Yes, they're only going to inherit one of the boxes. But what does each box mean? So doing the Punnett square is only half the battle. Now you have to interpret the Punnett square. So inside the squares, like I said, the letters inside represents the genotype of the offspring the parents could produce. So if we take them, we're going to take them and line them up on the outside of the boxes so that we can talk about them. Because there's a bunch of different questions I can ask about what is the probability the offspring will either be tall or short, be homozygous dominant, homozygous recessive, heterozygous. All of those are going to have different percentages depending on what question I ask about it. So we will talk about a couple of options. So there's 2 ways to look at the results. We can look at the genotype, which is the letters. Like I said, homozygous dominant, heterozygous, homozygous recessive. And I can ask questions about all of those. Or we could look at the phenotype, the physical trait. These 3, if the child inherits any of these 3 genotypes, its phenotype will be tall. If it inherits all recessive alleles, both recessive alleles from the parent, it will be short. So this is where the probabilities come in. What is the probability that child will be tall? We have 1, 2, 3 chances out of all 4. So like I said, if I give you 3/4, how much money will you have? I can ask you, what is the probability that child will be short? And that is 1 out of 4. If I gave you 1/4, how much money would you have? And that leads to the next one. Yep, good, Cynthia. So probability is the likelihood that something will happen. Sometimes we use ratios. We use more percentages. Your questions online will be all percentages. So like I said, 3 out of 4 would be tall. What's that percent? 3 out of 4 chances tall is 75%. There's a 1 chance in 4 that child will be short. And then Cynthia gave me the answer last time in the last slide. 25%. So those will all be questions. And like I said, I can ask you questions about the genotypes too. What are the chances the child will end up with a homozygous dominant genotype? That's why we go over those words in 6.4 before we get to the actual Punnett squares and the interpretation in 6.5. I want to make sure you know those words first. Because when I ask you, what are the chances of a heterozygous genotype? You got to know what that word means. So for your notes, make sure these are filled in. Make sure we write our summary. So finish these notes and write your summary. The worksheet this week is structured as a quiz, but you can do it as many times as you want. It's just a worksheet. So you'll be writing out Punnett squares and then taking pictures of them to upload to Canvas. And then there's a virtual lab, and it's going to be a Gizmos. So for those of you who were not here last semester, Gizmos can be a little tricky. So I want to go over it first. So it is open now. I posted it today. So you can work on it, but it is due Monday. And we're at the end of our chapter, so you need to make sure it's submitted, because if you don't submit this one, it won't let you take the test. You got to do everything in order. All right. So Gizmos looks like this. It's going to be a document. And it says, click this link. This is the link to the website. So you're going to be reading through a website and working through a website, and then coming back to this document and answering questions. But the first thing you got to do is log in. So everybody right now, go to their class link. Open your class link like this. Give me a thumbs up when you have your class link open. Good. Log in. If you haven't yet, log into your class link, and then you should see all of these apps. Nadia, good. All right, find this guy. It says Explore Learning Gizmos. It looks like a little light bulb with one eye. Find that one. And click on it. You should come to a page that looks something like this. Yours is going to be a little bit different, but you should have your class right here. I'm going to click on your class. And then the assignment is called Mouse Genetics. So give me a thumbs up when you see the assignment that says mouse genetics. You guys can all see it? All right. So you can click on it. It looks like this. And then you're going to work, there's directions. There's directions on the document. So you're going to go back and forth between that website and the document. It's going to tell you how to work through it and answer the questions. Okay? Anybody have questions about this assignment? All right. Like I said, it is open now. So finish these notes. Write your summary. Do the Punnett Square practice assignment. That's basically the end of your assignments for this week. I open the first assignment for next week because it's a little bit long. So I open the virtual lab. It is open now. It is technically due Monday, and it must be submitted before you take your Chapter 6 exam next week.